Fantasy points is what we call something that we do on the back end in the database to help you out on the front end when you're doing statistical research for drivers to pick for different races. Let's take Trevor Bayne, for example, who won the 2011 Daytona 500. There's his two races at Daytona in 2011. He raced in both of them. You can see that at the 500, he came in first. Well, after coming in first at the Daytona 500, the official point standings after race one was that Carl Edwards was the leader. Trevor, well, he was way down here in 39th place because he scored no points officially for winning that race. And that was because in 2011, NASCAR implemented that each driver had to declare which series that they were going to race in. And they can race in any series they wanted to, but if they were declaring points in the Nationwide Series, they weren't going to earn any points in the Cup Series because they weren't officially racing for that championship. So that was the case with Trevor Bayne. That was the case with a few drivers in the series that you may want to use on your team. And so if you're looking at different statistical charts trying to pick your fantasy team, Trevor Bayne, Joe Nemechek, and a handful of others would consistently always be coming up with 0 points. And that doesn't really help you a whole lot when you're trying to make your picks. Now, I just want to stress that the official results pages still show that there's 0 points earned for Trevor Bayne in both of these races. But when you go to statistical pages for your fantasy research, such as driver momentum, what I'm showing here are 2 races. I've selected the Daytona race in July and the Daytona race in February of 2011. You can see, especially since this table is sorted by average points, that's one of the statistics that we give you in the column. Trevor's ranked 18th. He had 2 starts, started both those races. And you come over to the averages section, you got his average start, his average finish, and his average points. Well, he didn't officially earn points in those races, but to help you in your research, we're going to give him those points so that he can become relevant in the statistics that you're looking at. And what this column shows, this is the total points. He earned 50, and then obviously his average points are 25, 50 divided by 2. We do that also on the driver averages page. You got Trevor Bayne. I've selected the last 5 races at Daytona. Again, Trevor only raced in 2 of them. Come on over. His new points are 50. His actual points are 0. And his average points are 25. So you know that any driver that's not racing the series, you're still going to be able to use them, see them accurately as how they might help your fantasy team because we're going to give them points in that situation. Same thing if you're looking at the driver head-to-head, and we put Trevor Bayne in there. You come down, and this last 2 sections are the last 5 races. Now, in this case, these are the last 5 races of the 2011 series, and so Trevor raced in a couple of those, shows you his average finish of 19 and his average points of 25.3. If we didn't give him those points, he'd be 0 there. Anytime you saw Trevor Bayne in a statistic in your fantasy research, points would always be 0, which just do nothing to help you. The other thing that fantasy points encompasses is taking a driver like Tony Stewart, who raced in all 5 of these Daytona races that I've selected, the 2011 under the new point system, 2010 and 2009 under the old point system. Now, the new point system awards 43 points for the winner. The old point system awards 185 points for the winner. So if you were to look at statistics that span both of those points series, it would just give you a totally inaccurate, confusing number to look at, especially when you're looking at drivers who've only raced in the new series. Hold on to your hat here. I know it gets kind of crazy, but it just all makes sense. Tony Stewart, 5 races, his actual points that he scored, official points, is 450. Well, if you took that 450 and divided it by the 5 races that are in the table here, he would have 90 average points. For one, when you compare that to Trevor's 25, you'd think, wow, Tony just blows Trevor away. And then you'd think, wait, you can't even score 90 points in a race. What's up with that? It'd make this whole section, average points, totally useless for you. Well, what we've done is rescored those old races with the new points. So Tony's total points using these 5 races, scored all under the new point system, is 155, and then that's how you get 31, because it was five races under the new point system, give them an average points of 31, which gives you just complete apple-to-apple comparison when you're looking at drivers not racing in the series, drivers who've only raced under the new point system compared to drivers who've raced under both point system, and then just drivers who've raced in both point systems. Brings it down to a common denominator where it all makes sense, gives you an accurate statistic to look at, and is really going to help you on your fantasy NASCAR research.